It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley. As we begin a Tuesday, Gary, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling really, really good, full of optimism after the president had this to say yesterday.
She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured. She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured.
Now,
okay, Pops.
Now, before you get angry and say you shouldn't make fun of somebody who clearly has cognitive problems.
There's nothing wrong with him.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with him. His family says it. Remember,
he's good.
That members of his staff last week, members of his cabinet said that's completely wrong. They can't keep up with him. It was said again last week.
His muscles are good. His mind is clear. His pants are dry. Everything's fine. It's all good.
Wow. And to make it fair.
Yeah.
Because everybody is looking for fairness these days.
Uh-huh.
And if anything, we're fair.
Yeah.
I completely disagree. Donald Trump was completely and totally wrong the other day when he said Taylor Swift is unusually beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
We here at Red Eye Radio officially disagree with Trump on that.
Here's my question. Does she only have the one outfit? the glittery one-piece swimsuit? Is that the only outfit she owns? Does she know she has money?
I don't know what it is. I have no idea. Like I said, I can look at other artists that I don't that I think they're. I'll be honest, because I lie all the rest of the time.
Right.
I think her music sucks, and I don't get it. And there are other artists I believe their music sucks too, but I go, oh, I understand why people like them. I have no idea what it is about her that has given her this level of celebrity. I want to make this clear. There is no jealousy and envy involved in this.
No.
I would not want to be Taylor Swift.
No. No, I don't have any desire to wear a glittery one-piece swimsuit on stage. And I don't think anybody has a desire to see me do that. So there's that. Years ago, when my youngest daughter was even younger, when she was in her teens, and I think it was about the time Taylor Swift first came out, she was into it. I asked her the other day, and she just walked by. She was, like this. Oh, okay. You know, she's in her late 20s now, so I don't get it. It comes off to me as if a primetime drama came up with a pop star. Right?
That's a great point.
It's a primetime drama.
No.
And it's got to be a crime drama. There's got to be a crime in it.
No.
Huh?
It's a Hallmark movie.
Yeah. Well,
with the pop star.
Or that. I was going Murder, She Wrote, but okay. Yeah.
Matlock.
You know, listen, this is what our audience will think is a pop star. So, okay.
Matlock defends her.
Yeah. Well, it's the case of the stolen outfit, and she can't go on stage because she's only got the one, and Matlock is on it. It's in fact it's a crossover. It's Murder, She Wrote and Matlock special movie, one-time events, special television events. Who stole the outfit?
Matlock comes down the steps of the courthouse, and Taylor Swift is walking with him, and he says, "You want lunch?" "Sure." "Okay." Goes over to the hot dog stand. She's like, "Ew."
Yeah. Ew.
Hot dogs. Ew.
Ew.
But with extra chili.
And that guy touched it. He's the server.
The interesting thing is, I don't think I've watched 5 Matlocks in my life, but I know about how he has the character has like an addiction to the hot dog stand outside the courthouse.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah.
I never picked up on that. Okay.
Oh yeah. Just like the old Rockford Files, he always had tacos with hot sauce for breakfast.
That I remember.
Yeah,
that I remember.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh wow,
That was great. Yeah.
So-
yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't see eye to eye with the former president on that, but okay.
I don't know if anybody's pulled that. Has the left come out? Because one of the things is, look, there's just too many dang stories, so we're just going to start talking.
Yeah, why not?
When just before we went on the air, you just said, what in the hell is the left trying to do with Alito and
This whole
and Roberts?
a left-wing activist secretly recorded Alito and Roberts. And I thought, we know how they think. They write opinions all the time. It's part of their job.
They're thinking, and they have opinions, and secretly they talk about the opinions. They need to be kicked off the court.
Yeah.
It's like, gang, you got nothing,
Right.
because you had Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who would publicly go out and give speeches about what she believed, and the ultimate is, where actually you should kick somebody off the court. You can't win this. You can't win this.
Yep.
You can't win this.
Yep.
Is Justice Jackson, because she can't even tell you what a woman is.
Yeah.
She has no idea as a woman what a woman is. How can she possibly ever judge any cases of women's rights if she can identify what a woman is? End of story. You're wrong. We're right. Let's move on.
I mean, this is going to be the game. They can't get Trump, so get anybody you can, send out the activists and come home with nothing. I mean, you sent a dog to fetch a bone that wasn't there. Here's the headline from CNN. The Alitos and Roberts discuss politically sensitive topics in secret recordings by liberal activists. It's SCOTUS. What's not politically sensitive? Do they even know what they're doing? Do they even read? Do they type it out and then just let it fly? Are they all smoking weed?
No, but there's a desperation here because they know people don't agree with them on the issue, so they're trying to deflect or take anything out there that isn't even controversial. For example, you had the whole thing with Byron Donald.
Yeah.
Byron Donald's from Florida. And the whole thing that that the left is out there stating, because he's viewed as one of the people that might be Trump's vice president, that he said that Jim Crow helped blacks.
Mm-hmm.
That Jim Crow. No, he didn't.
No.
His entire point was talking about the Great Society. It is a legitimate discussion that has been held for the longest time. It's been written about by people like Arthur Murray. It's been written by Myron Magnet. One of the first books I read after I read Gary Hart's book when I was in my 20s and was like, okay, what's going on with all this politics stuff? Read Gary Hart's book and went, nah, I don't think so. Myron Magnet's book, The 60s Legacy to the Underclass, which Arthur Murray, the late Democrat Daniel Patrick Moynihan, talking about the pathology of dependency. When you spend trillions of dollars and hand out cash, do you create people that, irrespective of their skin color,
Yeah.
Does the welfare system create a pathology of dependency and not an incentive to work and have a productive life with a family? That is a discussion that's been going on for 70 years in this country.
Yeah, I mean,
And you know, the entire welfare system, and that was his point. His point was not that Jim Crow was great, but what he talked about was the black family unit was intact, employment was higher, and so the entire point, it was not to credit and say Jim Crow was a good idea. It was to attack the Great Society and whether the good intentions of the Great Society ended up creating the pathology of dependency, which we see today and is recognized today as a mindset that exists in any human being, again, irrespective of skin color, who is given something, given something, consistently without having to work for it. Just like if you do it for a child, does it hinder you becoming a productive, efficient adult?
Well, in the age of equity and all these words that the DEI left wants to use, and this is who they are. It's ingrained in them, and they can't change it. They can't roll it back. We've talked about it. All these things are always sold with a huge facade, and it sounds noble and good. You know, this idea back when they basically took a leftover idea from Jimmy Carter at the end of the Clinton years and decided they were going to move toward these different types of loans, get people out of poor neighborhoods and get them into home ownership. Sounds good, right? And then we'll create Fannie and Freddie, and everything will be fine. And by the way, they're still doing this. But under this noble idea, what they did is set these people up for failure. And when you decided that you're going to go through, that process, and then you end up going through foreclosure. And by the way, there is onus on the borrower. You and I have talked about this to no end. There's onus on the borrower too. But they set up a system that was designed to fail. There was no way that it was going to be a good thing at the end. And, they went through every step by step and even ramped it up after Treasury Secretary Snow at the time in 2003 told them Fannie and Freddie can't sustain. We can't keep doing this. And this big noble idea that we can make things better by giving people things they haven't earned.
Well, and one of the things is, it's like, yeah, but you're just giving them a mortgage. Yeah, but when people put money down on a mortgage, if you put down 20%, then you've got skin in the game.
Exactly.
And it's just, and it's the whole thing that Donalds was talking about is the discussion about how do human beings react is basic economics. Yeah. How do human beings react to incentive and disincentive? Mm-hmm. How do they respond if you're given something? Does something have value if you don't earn it? These are all things that are talked about sociologically and have been, especially with after the Great Society, and the questions have been going on. But no, they don't want to have that discussion. They simply they simply lie, as he said. I didn't say Jim Crow was great. What I said was, my point was the Great Society was bad. That just because you have good intentions doesn't mean you get the results that you want out of it.
Exactly.
And so but that's part of the desperation. You see it, whether it's Donald, you see it, whether it's, what's going on with Alito, and they keep moving on to something else, and they never get him on anything.
Right.
Because it's like, well, look at the liberal justices. No, we're just ignoring what they're saying over here. We can't. Because the one thing that has been said, and you and I said we can't believe that Republicans never responded to it, was when Justice Jackson said, I can't tell you what a woman is.
Right.
In her confirmation hearing, and it's like, well, then you're disqualified. You cannot be a Supreme Court judge. How can you rule on any woman's rights issue if you cannot identify what a woman is?
Right.
Tell us that's not if you want a legit reason to say a judge should be kicked off the bench or should never be on the bench, right there, tell us where we're wrong.
Pretty simple.
You can't. How can you rule on women's rights if you can't identify what a woman is?
Right. There's no way.
You can't. And so the one and the left completely ignored that. The right ignored it to to the extent of they mocked her, but they didn't say, come out as we didn't say, that makes her unqualified right there.
Right.
How can she rule on any women's rights issue? How can she be in defense of women's rights in any way if she cannot identify what a woman is?
She can't.
Well, she's lying.
Yep. Well,
she's either she's lying and she was under oath.
Exactly.
She knows
she
what
has
a woman
to
is.
admit she was lying, and she knows what a woman is, or she's unqualified.
She's unqualified, one or the other. You know, they don't have close to that in Alito or Roberts or anybody.
No.
They're just desperately flailing right now. By the way, the public isn't paying attention to that at all.
They're not. They're not. They're absolutely not. After the verdict came down, I think much of the public is done with this kind of BS. I really do.
That's a great point. And no, that's a great solid point.
You think you're going to outdo what you did for Trump, and you guys can't even figure out whether to call him a convicted felon now.
But we always have these words of inspiration.
Yes.
She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured.
That's what I always try to say.
Wow.
Yep.
We're so doomed.
We are.
866-90-RED-EYE.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. Every driver knows the cost of replacing tires is a major expense. What if you could save on tire costs without sacrificing performance or safety? Consider retreads, a sustainable, cost-effective way to rack up your miles. When talking retreads, sometimes there's worry when it comes to wear. But just because the tread is worn on a tire doesn't mean the casing is. Quality casings can far outlive their original tread. And once they're on your vehicle, the tread on a retread can last just as long or longer than the tread on a new tire. The key to preserving casings, whether new or retreaded, is regular tire maintenance checks.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up, the Nancy Pelosi video taking responsibility for not having the National Guard set up. That's going to, by the way, that's going to cause now a more of a House investigation on this at the minimum, because that's one thing that's been said all along, that Trump offered the National Guard and Nancy refused, and now with this video here, that's the whole point. They're talking about Alito tapes and Roberts tapes, and what Byron Donald said, and the big monster is out there sitting right there is that statement by Nancy that we'll get to here in just a little bit. Also, AOC slammed for saying false accusations of anti-Semitism are wielded against people of color.
Okay. All right. I guess we can unpack that.
I think we might. You know something? We have an opportunity because we do a talk show that does stuff just like that. Analyzes what's going on.
Yeah, but when it's her, it's just especially exhausting. You know what I mean? Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah. It's all they have left. It really is all they have left. It's like the robots have all been put in a room and they're all just misfiring, They're all just firing off, doing whatever they have left. Whatever energy they have left out of the playbook they've been using for far too long, and nobody's paying attention to their nonsense.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. You can listen when and where you want if you can't listen live overnight. All right, this audio cut was Nancy Pelosi as she's leaving the Capitol or getting away from the Capitol on January 6th. One of the things that I think it was the first thing that we had stated, forget about, everything else. Why wasn't the Capitol protected that day?
Right.
Where was the National Guard? Where was what you see whenever there's any type of massive protest, that there's plenty of security so nobody gets close to anything like that? What happened? Why wasn't it there? That question never got answered because of the insane hype over what happened and the politics of it.
Yeah.
And trying some way to blame Trump for it. And that's why you still today have Democrats saying that it was an insurrection, yet there's no evidence of an insurrection, and there's no charges of insurrection that have been filed on anybody.
Right.
And so we have asked the question over and over again, where was the National Guard? We know Trump offered it.
Yeah.
We know it was offered. When it was offered specifically is still up for debate, but we know that nobody's denying that he didn't. In fact, it was about 6 months ago, wasn't it, when it was like, he asked for it. Didn't some audio come out or something like that on that part of it, or a transcript?
Yeah.
That he ordered that he said the National Guard's available, and it was turned down.
Right.
And so as you try to muddle through this story, which you haven't been able to do, and I think now you're going to be able to get the Republicans actually to look at this at January 6th. What was the security breakdown? Not what Trump said or didn't say. What was the security breakdown? Why did it happen? And this was released by the Oversight Committee yesterday of Nancy Pelosi. Here we go.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff that should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient
No,
resources.
there's not a question of how they had been. They don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
Boom.
Boom. Right there.
It's the question we've been asking since the beginning.
Yeah, that was the number one question we had. We said, forget about everything else. Where was the security?
Yep.
Just like we say we said it over the weekend when the statues were vandalized on federal property.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the security?
Right.
Where are the arrests when people do that?
Right.
And where was the security on January 6th is something that we've been screaming about. And it's like, well, that doesn't matter. As long as we think we can get Trump, it doesn't matter where. Of course, it matters where security is. It's the damn capital of the United States.
Well, it's everything that they were screaming about, and everything that every statement from every liberal on Capitol Hill on that day was, basically, I was in fear for my safety or my life. Well, there is a way to protect you. There was a way to protect you. Why didn't it happen? And there you have Nancy asking the same question and taking responsibility. Because it doesn't matter what you want to get on Trump. Ultimately, your responsibility is to protect the Capitol. And there was a way to do it on that day, and they didn't.
The exchange was part of about 45 minutes of footage handed over recently to the GOP-controlled House Administration Oversight Subcommittee, according to Politico, a report on the riot authored by House Republicans in 2022 found that Democratic leadership had concerns over optics of having National Guard troops present. at the Capitol building in the aftermath of the summer 2020 Black Lives Matter protest.
They had built up in their own mind, again, what did they use? They used Trump's stormtroopers, all the words that they were using back then. And they had bought into it so to the extent that they weren't willing to protect themselves on that day.
A spokesperson for Pelosi dismissed the video clip released by House Republicans accusing them of attempting to whitewash January 6th. Numerous independent fact checkers have confirmed that Speaker Pelosi did not plan her own assassination, Aaron Bennett wrote on X. Cherry-picked out-of-context clips don't change that. 3 years later, House Republicans are still trying to whitewash January 6th. It's shameful, unpatriotic, and pathetic. Is that a true statement?
No, she said what she said.
Yeah. She said what she said, and I don't know. I have never stated that anybody who is – what I want is that, you know, there were a number of different – there were thousands of people there, and different people did different things. Mm-hmm. And when you see how some of them are being prosecuted, there are questions that I have as opposed to other people, you know, the two-tier system of justice, whether it's fair. But if you were breaking down windows and you were trespassing and you were doing wrong things there, irrespective of whether the door was open or not, we have never had any problem about the fair prosecution of anyone.
Right.
And so that would be if you're saying everybody's innocent, and I don't know anybody who's saying that.
Right.
So it's not a whitewash. It's why wasn't the proper security there? We have had massive protests in Washington, D.C., many times over.
And the statement that Nancy Pelosi didn't plan her own assassination, that's one of these extreme straw men positions.
Right.
Nobody's. She clearly, in the video, is upset. She's upset that it happened and that she didn't do something about it. There's no way around that. Talk to her.
And I don't believe they're not saying that that clip was edited in any way.
I haven't seen any claim that it is.
I haven't seen any clip that it was edited or AI or anything.
Nope.
And they're not making that accusation.
Nope.
They're simply saying this is an attempt to whitewash. How? Explain that.
Right.
Why wasn't Nancy Pelosi asked the question, why wasn't the proper authorities there? And when the Republicans came out in 2022 and said, well, they didn't want it with the whole Black Lives Matter thing, they didn't want massive amounts of security everywhere because the imagery would be bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to say except that is something that the left would do. If you're going to defund the police, well, then you don't want massive security around your own capital.
Right. How
am I wrong there?
Right.
In saying that is a distinct possibility of what happened that day.
Right. Well, it's kind of all over the place because they clearly knew who the people were. There's no one saying they were confused as to who the activists were that were there and who they supported.
Right.
So I don't know why they would hesitate in getting the National Guard against the MAGA group.
Right, yeah.
Because for them, that could have been actually, even if you want to talk about optics, having the National Guard there to essentially separate them from the Capitol and the whole thing. Hey, we had to call in the National Guard. They could have stepped up their entire thing on that.
What you're saying is defund the police from criminals, but
Yeah.
not for
No, when it comes
Republicans.
to and in the recent statue stuff, I mean, if it were people wearing MAGA hats, they'd all be in prison by now. I mean, this is exactly how they operate. And, you know, we had to call the National Guard. We had no choice. It was for the lives and safety of every a person on Capitol Hill in the Capitol building that day, every lawmaker and their staff, and blah, 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 blah. And then you have the big scene with the National Guard standing up there. Or you thought it was better that they got in. I can't tell you. I don't know. Did anybody give what was the communication in those moments with Pelosi? Who was she talking to, and was she told, hey, don't call the National Guard at any moment? Why is she so frustrated in this video? That's what I'd like to know. Did somebody get in her ear and say, hey, let this thing play out, we'll all be okay. We need it to look bad for Trump. I'm just asking questions. Because this video is huge. It's massive. It changes the tone drastically. It's not just people on the right now asking about the National Guard and why they weren't there. It's Nancy Pelosi. Yes, that Nancy Pelosi. There's no way around it. What you can't whitewash is this video recording. Unless somebody comes out and proves that it's AI or has been heavily edited and she didn't say that.
They would have done that already. Yeah.
I believe they already know it's been authenticated.
Yeah. Well, they would have, yeah, because it was handed over. I mean, I don't know what the process was. I don't know if there was a subpoena to get it or whatever, but it was handed over to them.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think
Freedom of Information Act, whatever,
is
what got it to them. The optics are bad, but it does answer a question that we've always asked: why wasn't proper security around the Capitol?
Right.
We've asked that since day one.
Yep. Yeah, this is huge in that entire equation. This is big. And that should have been, we believe, that should have been the GOP's focus. That should have been get down to the heart of what happened and everything else. Were they afraid to approach it for obvious reasons? Did they want to let a sleeping dog lie? I can't tell you. I don't know what happens in the halls on Capitol Hill.
Well, they did it. Like I said, they had the analysis in 2022.
Yeah, right. But I mean, it's kind of, and it really has especially after the verdict came down. A lot of that is kind of lying over in the corner, and maybe that's ultimately the long game for the GOP. I don't know, but this video recording is huge.
86690 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you so much for being here. Well, what you get from legal analysts like Jonathan Turley and others is that the evidence, of course, for Hunter Biden is slam dunk. Yeah, absolutely slam dunk.
Yeah,
and still, it's like, nope, you're not. You're going to have jury nullification here.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to convict him. If that doesn't happen, if he's not convicted of this, because again, you look at it, Hunter Biden, whatever he did, I care what Hunter Biden did in relation to what Joe Biden did. Those are that's the influence peddling, possible bribes. That's what you're looking into. This would be something for him on a gun charge but it would send the message again. It would again amplify the message that there is a two-tier system of justice in the United States.
Yep.
Because there isn't anyone, no one, I don't see anybody. Liberals are ignoring this completely because they know the evidence is absolutely slam dunk against him.
Yep.
And that's why you hear the jury nullification talk coming up. That's why they should have come back in about 10 minutes. And they said even extending it another day means, you're closer to jury nullification, that you're not going to convict a Biden in Delaware.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just not going to happen here, Jack.
Yeah. Now, I don't know. I'm not that familiar with Delaware to begin with. I know the Bidens are huge there.
Yeah.
I don't know the jury. I wasn't part of the, selecting the jury.
Right.
So I don't know. But those in the know that I trust, like Turley, believe that jury nullification is a possibility.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA and around the world, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So what did Elon Musk say about AI?
Okay, he brings up a really good point. So, what was this, yesterday? So it was yesterday. I'm going through, because I'm trying to find some more on the conversation. Here was the one that really got my attention. It was yesterday afternoon on X, Elon Musk. If Apple integrates OpenAI at the OS level, then Apple devices will be banned at my companies. This is an unacceptable security violation. Been one of my concerns from the beginning. Not just that AI, is going to be is integrated into pretty much everything, but especially when we talk about individual devices. Well, how far does it go? Then someone posted something that he also responded to, and basically it was, well, all right, remember when Scarlett Johansson told OpenAI not to use her voice, and they said, okay, we won't. Then they cloned it and used it anyway. Now imagine they did that with your phone data, even though you told them you don't want them to do that with your phone data. The point being is that once AI is in motion to do something, then it's going to be constantly in motion in that direction. My concern, too, and they didn't bring it up not that I've seen. I haven't expanded these threads at Elon Musk's X page to know he might have responded to someone along the way about this, and he may have posted about this before and I didn't see it. But one of my concerns has been government access to data. You and I go back to the whole NSA thing, and we even had conservatives back then going, oh, no, it's necessary. And, and it's no, absolutely. They don't get to cross that line with our phone data. And now, take this to the nth degree. This will make that look like like a payphone compared to a modern day smartphone. For those under the age of 50, a payphone was a phone you had to put a coin into.
I just want to make sure we make it simple. Mm-hmm. We're talking about AI when it's basically inside the internet, inside of software.
Integrated into everything.
It's integrated into everything. Mm-hmm. So this is where it's analyzing everything, including your phones.
It's taking your data,
right,
and then can imagine what they were able to do with the very simple set of data that the NSA had. They could define behaviors, right? Okay, well, they called a psychiatrist, and then they called a pharmacy, and then they called a gun range, really, and then all these things, and it was not done with a warrant. This wasn't done.
Right.
They did this, without warrants, and we have a system in place. But if AI circumvents that system, if AI is going to do what AI is going to do once it's set into motion to do that, and if the government has access to that data, whatever data just happens to rise to the surface, and there will be a gazillion tons of it created every day, they can take it and shape it, and it quite frankly will make, quite possibly, and I think this is the danger, is that my concern is that it ultimately makes everything thrown at Donald Trump look like a cakewalk by comparison, because of everything they would have available to them. Any government agency would have available to them about any person with a phone or any device.
You would have the ability, because of the phone and AI into your phone, that if a warrant isn't needed, then any type of news publication could basically lay out what you've done in the last week.
Right. Because in the age of leftist activists that pretend to be journalists, doxing and that kind of thing is nothing new. In fact, they're proud of that kind of behavior for themselves, of going after anybody on the right. You're going to become a target. So ultimately, that is my concern. I think it's everyone's concern overall, is that AI is used for bad things, to do bad things against good people.
Right.
But
they know every app I went into. They know every banking transition I made.
Yep.
They would know everything that I bought. They
Yep.
know my credit card statement.
Yep.
They would know, because once you open it up and once it gets in, boom.
And then they would know.
Is the possibility of what could happen. We're not saying it is going to happen.
That's the potential, because we're just now scratching the surface. We haven't even opened the door on AI yet. We really haven't even opened the door on AI and its potential. And part of that problem is you get back into the advent of the computer age, and you talk about individuals, data in, data out, right? Well, it still works that way with AI, and it's still, someone put out there, right now it's not that big of a deal because it's collecting a lot of crap that humans put on the internet, except when you give it a specific task. When you give it a specific task, now it has the ability to learn that task and to fulfill that task, and it doesn't know anything different. So there is no redirection. There isn't we put this in, and now over here on the other end, we're going to get that out. Well, no, it's going to keep going. And whether you get it in, whether you put it in or somebody else put it in, anybody's going to have, the government especially, and, with the power that they have, is going to have access potentially to anything and everything about you. So forget about cameras that are in public. It will be, because your device listens. We all know this. Every device is set to listen. They pick up, and part of the sell on it to you was, here's the benefit. Well, we now know that this topic or this word keyed an interest, and we're going to bring that up to the surface in the algorithm that serves you.
We were talking about something on the air the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. It just popped into my head right now.
Yeah.
And the next day, I'm looking at Facebook.
Yeah.
And there's these ads. And I'm like, how did they get that? We were just talking about that on the air. Oh, my God, my phone's in the studio with me.
Your phone. And it's every device now. I mean, your TV has the ability to listen. Your remote has the ability to listen to you because we built out the convenience. We want to be able to not even push the button on the remote, just say to the remote, hey, find a good movie, whatever. Well, it's always listening. And these companies can come in and say, well, we have a very strict privacy policy until it falls out that, yeah, the data was breached or whatever. I mean, after everything that fell out with the Twitter files, I almost said the X Files because we can call it the X Files now. Mm-hmm. If they did it now, it would be called the X Files. The Twitter files and everything that fell out and the behavior there. And then over at Facebook, Zuckerberg talking about how the FBI had come to him about what ended up being the laptop story during that summer, and we know how they behave. I don't expect that to change in my lifetime. I really don't expect that to change in my lifetime, and I'd love to be surprised or I'd love to be wrong about that. I'd love to be wrong, but I don't think I am. That kind of behavior is going to go on because they know they can get away with it. Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State. She knew the whole Russian hoax thing. She could get away with it. The Russian collusion hoax, she could get away with it because she had all of the. She's a former First Lady, former Senator, former Secretary of State. And she's got everything she needs to control that entire chain of events to set up her political opposition. And she did it. Not to the point of success, but she did it.
Right. And she knew about it for 3 years.
Right.
She knew it for 3.5 years. She knew what the truth was.
Right.
And so did members of her campaign, and so did the DNC.
Right.
So did the lawyers at Perkins Coie.
Yep.
Not all the lawyers, but some lawyers at Perkins Coie had to know about it. It was known throughout circles that the Russia collusion with Trump was completely bogus. Even Comey. Mm-hmm. We talked about Comey coming out, doing his first interview and saying that, well, he thinks that possibly some of the salacious things, the P tape and other things,
right.
I don't know, they could be true.
Yeah.
He knew they were absolutely false by the time he said that.
Yep.
And so, you think about, even with AI, how setups happen and how the left has become quite sophisticated in setting up their political opponents and then bringing it into the judicial system, and having that thing last for 3.5 years, helping to destroy a significant portion of his presidency, having him under the cloud. Remember, Trump is a Russian agent. Trump is, is treasonous.
Yeah.
All of that was false.
And
everything was false.
So now replace all of the humans, the Peter Strzok's, the Comeys, Hillary Clinton, with something that is unseen and works to no end. Doesn't have to take a break. Doesn't have to text its girlfriend and brag, Peter Strzok. I don't know. Someone get Mitt Romney on the phone. Do robots have girlfriends?
Will AI have girlfriends?
Exactly. These are the things that we should, and then we've looked at it time and time again, where you do have to create laws. You have to go in, and we're not the people that say, hey, there should be a law, but there should be a harsh sentence for anyone abusing this kind of data, collecting this kind of data without having any kind of right to it, being a warrant. These kind of things should, I think, concern all of us, because when you do take the humans out of it, forget about it taking the jobs at fast food. It's going to take Peter Strzok's job, and it's going to be a lot better at it. And that's going to be a problem.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Just because idling is common doesn't make it smart. Idling a diesel uses about a gallon of fuel per hour, which can cost you about $180 per week at $4.50 per gallon if your truck idles 8 hours a day. Idling easily can cost you a few thousand more in fuel alone per year, not including the added engine maintenance expense that results from excessive idling. Harder on your truck's engine than highway driving. In addition to operating costs, many governments impose no idling laws and regulations with fines as high as $25,000. Instead, there are many alternatives. An extra blanket for cold temperatures, window screens for when the weather is warm, bunk heaters, and various auxiliary power unit options abound in this day and age too, many powered just by batteries. Otherwise, diesel and gas gensets burn far less fuel than your truck's engine. Research options to find your fit. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, yesterday was an interesting day. There was a writer from The Atlantic that said Biden's got to go. You had Nate Silver, right?
Yeah.
Also stating yesterday, Biden's got to go.
Yeah.
James Carville's been talking about it. It seems to be growing now that Biden's got to go. We just played one of his gaffes from yesterday. I'm just really bad. You don't even know what he's talking about.
And it's unavoidable now.
It is. It really is.
It's every day. It's every time he goes out, there's a moment. At least one.
I think Steve Forbes did some. Buddies, I didn't listen to it. A buddy of mine sent me from Steve Forbes saying, here's how it's going to work out with Biden dropping out. I didn't get a chance to listen to it yet. I woke up to that one. And you're just wondering. And then I saw this in Politico. All right. Because I went, why is Politico writing this article? Biden insists he's not involved in his family's business dealings, but his aides are a different story. The overlapping roles are under scrutiny as the president distances himself from his family dealings. For years, Joe Biden shared a bookkeeper with his son, Hunter. He also shared a personal lawyer with his brother, Jim. And when Jim wanted to know more about one of Hunter Biden's associates, he hired the former head of Joe Biden's Secret Service detail to investigate. Since 2019, Joe Biden has repeatedly distanced himself from his family's business dealings, saying that he has never so much as discussed them with his relatives or anyone, but House impeachment inquiry interviews, public records, and emails reviewed by Politico show that members of his inner circle were regularly enmeshed in those dealings. Many of the president's closest staffers and advisors have doubled as his relatives' business associates, both during and after their stints working for the man at the center of the Biden family orbit, Joe Biden. Those overlaps reflect an all-in-the-family approach to business and politicking that dates back a half-century to the president's first Senate bid. This is more damning than anything I've seen in a conservative outlet recently.
Yeah.
But these overlaps reflect an all-in-the-family approach to business and politicking that dates back a half-century to the president's first Senate bid, run primarily by his parents and siblings. Since then, his political patrons have at times forged business ties with his relatives, who in turn have converted some of their business partners into campaign supporters. And over a lifetime in public life, some of the president's aides have taken on roles as surrogate members of a tight-knit Biden clan. The Biden's approach complicates their efforts to distance the president from his family ventures. As Jim and Hunter Biden's foreign dealings have caused controversy, and several of their business partners have been convicted of federal fraud and corruption crimes in recent years. Any potential links between their business dealings and the president has come in for renewed scrutiny.
Yeah.
To ally concerns about any intermingling of their affairs, the Bidens have said that they observed strict interpersonal firewalls to avoid discussing businesses among themselves. But with so many former and current aides in the mix, and with the surfacing of private communications in which Jim and Hunter Biden suggest they represent their powerful relative in business matters, onlookers are forced to take family members at their word that those firewalls always held, and they've got a flow chart to all the different people that Jim, Hunter, and Joe are all involved in. Politico, yes,
Crazy. Yeah.
And so, but it takes us to what their defense is now, and their defense is everybody was corrupt. The whole family was corrupt. The whole family is attempting to destroy the legacy of Joe Biden because Joe knows nothing about all these business dealings going on. He simply loves his entire family. This is a love story of an old man towards his family and their betrayal of him consistently, along with all his business partners that he has dealt with over a half century.
This would have been a primetime drama in the 80s.
Everybody has betrayed Joe Biden. He's the only innocent one.
Uh-huh.
Have a line open. 1-866-90-RED-EYE. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, so reading that Politico, I mean, what it's setting up now is, because what you look at, for example, with the president and his family and influence peddling, what we have looked at is what is the fallback position now of the left? The fallback position of the left, and even adding that Politico article, this is the fallback position. This is the position that they held. Basically it was the mirage of influence. What did they call it? Not the mirage.
It was the
image.
I just blanked on the word too. Hold on.
Not the imagery.
Illusion.
Illusion. It was the illusion of influence. That Hunter and Jim were selling the illusion of influence, that Joe didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And so we said, okay, let's extrapolate that out. It's very important to extrapolate that out, to say, okay, what do they mean by that, right?
Yep.
Well, they don't explain it. They simply say the illusion of influence, and they leave it at that, and they don't go any further. And you and I did. We said, well, what does that mean? That is the defense of the Biden family and the supporters of the Biden family, that it was an illusion of influence.
Yeah.
So we know that all these LLCs were set up, these 20 LLCs. We know there's bank accounts that went to all different Biden family members, money that went from Jim and Hunter. Why would that be? I mean, that seems interesting. And it's like Jim and Joe Biden both saying, when we were talking to anybody, this was legit business. This was legit business. We are in a legit business, which is?
Yeah, which is what?
They can't describe to you what the business was. Except, well, we would help them. We would help them with, being able to work through the system of government in order to help them attain their goals. All right, so what you're saying is, generally, it was influence peddling.
Yeah.
For everybody except your brother and your father.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know who these other people were that you were trying to get influence to, but we know they were someone because that's the only business that you were in. The business you were in is to help them, because they even admitted it. Well, the business was to help them navigate through Washington, D.C. so they could get what they wanted to get done. All right, fine. Hunter still has to explain the WhatsApp message.
Yeah.
My father is right here.
Exactly.
You better do it.
Yeah.
Or, what's his name? I can't think of his name from the Godfather, the Hitman.
Luca?
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking Enzo, but that was the barber in Seinfeld.
Yeah. Very different storyline.
I was like,
That's funny.
and right, Luca
Brazzi.
That's it.
Yeah. I get my Seinfelds and Godfathers confused all the time. It's a common mistake.
When Jerry takes off his hat after the haircut, it was so bad. That's what I'm thinking. Enzo.
Yeah.
All right.
That's funny.
But getting back to it, what the fallback position is for the family.
Yeah.
Which is, and this is from them. I didn't make this up. They're the ones that set up. It's an illusion of it. They set up the illusion of influence, which means the illusion. And these are the supporters of the Biden family, which means they were lying. Because what does that mean? Well, setting up an illusion of influence. So you were lying that Joe Biden would do something that he really wouldn't do. Thereby, you were taking the chance of destroying his legacy, correct?
Yeah.
That he was about it, because you were saying we can get him to do stuff for you.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is he'll take a bribe or influence peddle for you, but you never went to Joe and asked him.
Right.
And so Hunter was involved in it. Jim was involved in it. The entire family was involved in it. Now all of the business associates were involved in it. And Joe didn't know any of this was going on. So everyone was manipulating Joe over the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And maybe even longer.
Right.
And Joe knew nothing about it, as his entire family. Because remember, the money went to everybody.
Yeah.
Shh, money goes to everybody here.
Mm-hmm.
Which means, I don't know about you, Eric, but if my brother came to me and said, I want to open an account and large amounts of money will be coming to you, I guess I would ask the question, why? Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Because that isn't something that happens in most families, right?
Typically, no.
We've got this infrastructure of LLCs, fake corporations, and bank accounts, and you're going to be getting a couple of $100,000 here or there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, John. You're a real great brother. That's my brother's name, same as my father's.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Wow.
Yeah.
Come on out and visit. I'll pay for your plane flight if it's a couple $100,000 that your son. And so, but that's where Politico's going now. That's the fallback position. That's the fallback position in defense of Biden, is that everybody around him was attempting to destroy his legacy and hurt his chances of becoming president by telling foreign leaders that our father and our brother will take a bribe for you. Now, they never came through for anybody over that time period, yet they kept getting money. Nobody apparently ever checked references.
Right.
And say, oh, by the way, you use the Biden business. Did you ever get anything out of it? No. Well, then I guess we'll do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an illusion of influence. So that's the fallback position of the pure as white Biden family. That's their fault, not mine. That's what they're communicating to the world, and nobody has ever broken it down like we have, not even the Republicans yet, and they should.
Yeah, and I don't know why no one else has done that. It's pretty simple. So you're saying everybody else in his family not only threw him under the proverbial bus, risked his entire political status in order to gain money off of his name.
Right. And now you can include all the business partners that were working for both Jim and Hunter and also Joe.
Yeah.
Because they all knew.
Right.
They all knew what the Bidens were doing. So everybody around the president, everyone, his business associates, lawyers, everyone, his family, the majority of his immediate family, all working to make cash off of his presidency and possibly destroying the legacy of his presidency so they could become rich. And Joe knew nothing about it at all, not a word. He did. No, we're not going to bring up the $40,000 that made it to one of his bank accounts.
That was a birthday gift.
Well, but again, this isn't our analysis of what went on. This is what the supporters of the Bidens and the Bidens say. This is what they're saying.
Yeah.
We're not saying it.
Right.
They're saying that's their fallback position. Probably not something that when you think about it, you say to yourself, well, that's making us look really good. You probably can't
probably
say that.
not. That's probably not going to work out for you.
And we've stated this for months upon months upon months. Like, do you realize what their fallback position is? Has anybody ever broke this down, what it is? Because as soon as that came out, the illusion of influence, and we went, well, wait a minute. What does that illusion of influence mean? You know, look, there were no bribes. There was no influence peddling. It was an illusion of influence, which means what? Let's break this down. Nobody breaks it down for some reason. That's the society that we live in. An allegation is made to say, to make the point that this shows you nothing's going on at all. Everything is innocent and above board. And when you break it down, it's like, oh my God. They're trying to convince the American public that the entire Biden family is corrupt except Joe, and all of them hate him so much they've decided to destroy his legacy, and all Joe does is love them back as a loving father.
And why stay on this fallback position? It's likely because they see where this thing is going.
Mm-hmm.
They know. And so they're trying to build out, as I'm sure they did within the Biden family, the plausible deniability for Joe. You can get everybody else. We really don't care. You're not going to get to him. Well, sorry. He's going to believe that. No one's going to believe that. And you're not doing Joe Biden himself a favor when you throw his entire family against him. At all.
No, but that's what they communicated from the very beginning on this.
Mm-hmm.
And the Politico article, that's why I had to go with the Politico. Oh, and now all the business people around Joe worked for Jim and Hunter, and they pointed out they've got a flow chart in Politico for it. I'm like, oh my God, all you're saying is then everybody, even they were sharing lawyers, they were sharing business partners and everything else. So it means the business partners knew what was going on. If it was an illusion of influence, the business partners of the lawyer knew that Jim and Joe were attempting to destroy the legacy and the ability of Biden to win the presidency in 2020.
Yeah.
By telling everybody, if he's president, we got you covered here. But they were only kidding.
Mm-hmm.
And it was his vice president. It was like, oh, no, we're just kidding. No, all this is just kidding, kidding.
Mm-hmm.
They were attempting to destroy his complete legacy, and it's so sad because all Joe did is love them.
You know, what a sad, tragic story it is.
It's not your typical love story.
No, it isn't.
Because that's how it's being portrayed, is this whole thing is simply a love story between a father and his son.
Yeah. Like the one analyst on MSNBC who was saying, well, Hunter has the same disease that I have. And that 20%, addiction, the whole thing. Well, he has a disease. Okay. All right. That's, again, excuse it away. All day, every day, and they think they get away with it. They don't.
866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Yeah, I just love analyzing the fallback position of the Bidens and their supporters on the whole influence peddling thing, because it just, to me, it's indicative of a society that we live in where somebody will say something and nobody will expand on it. You know, the whole thing of illusion of with Hunter Biden and Jim Biden, it was an illusion of influence. Then they leave it at that, as if there's nothing there. Then nobody ever breaks it down and says, yeah, but that's pretty damning. That's really not a complimentary thing to say when you actually break it down. The illusion of influence said, okay, Jim and Hunter were selling fake influence, or fake the fact that their father would take bribes for them, and the entire family was involved in it because they all received cash. Now, did they all receive cash so they'd be quiet about it and not let Dad know what was going on? I mean, this is the thing. This is how ridiculous it is when you get involved in something like this and then you throw out a defense. But as we have said, only, I think, once did the Republicans come close to breaking that down a little bit, or they were on that track. I think one night we said maybe they're on that track, and then they never really did what we did, which is break it down.
Comer did at one point. He kind of sounded like he was going to go down that road.
Right, but they didn't fully to our satisfaction.
Right.
But we just love breaking it down, because when you break it down, it's like, well, that's not good. That's their fallback position. Their fallback position that the entire family is corrupt and tried to destroy the legacy of Joe Biden. And now the Political article shows that lawyers and business partners of Joe's are also lawyers and business partners of Jim and Joe. And so everybody was in cahoots to destroy the legacy of Joe Biden. And all Joe Biden did, he knew nothing about it whatsoever, even though everybody that he was involved in knew about it, which means if the entire family was involved in it, Jill had to know about it too. They all were betraying Joe to destroy his legacy, and only Joe didn't know it because Joe is just somebody who loves his son and loves his family.
And, you know, to buy into that, you have to set aside the moments, with the one message and on the WhatsApp, and then or series of messages on the WhatsApp, and of course the complaint by Hunter that he's always having to give a lot of his money to his dad.
Yeah.
So you have to set aside a number of facts that Hunter has revealed to go down this road, but this is the road they want to travel on, I guess.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the world, we are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning.
Hello.
Welcome. You know, I don't know. I'm trying to choose an audio cut of the day. I know it's early in the show. But this is a challenge today.
Yeah.
We have I thought I had it, but there is a new contender.
Okay.
New contender. We'll let you hear the nominations, but this is the latest contender, Karine Jean-Pierre.
Yeah.
Apparently, she was speaking at a FEMA conference, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, on risk and crisis communications.
Oh. She knows all about that, does she?
Right, exactly. You know, being able to communicate effectively, right?
Sure.
And here's what KGP had to say.
Now, when I address the press from the White House podium, the only thing that stands between me and getting our message out to the American public is whether the people sitting in those chairs and the folks watching at home feel like they can trust me, feel like the information that I am providing is worthy for them, and that they can trust, obviously, that information.
And what if we can't?
We don't.
Hey, I have a question.
Well, come on, this is Eric, this is FEMA, and it's on risk and crisis management. And her speech is, you must be able to have full confidence in trust in the spokesperson talking to you. So she talks about her own position and the trust that she needs from the people of America, and she is by far the worst presidential spokesperson of all time.
Well, think about that. If FEMA knew what the topic was going to be ahead of time, and they thought, oh, who can we get that could get up here and talk about, having the trust in the people that they are addressing? Oh, I know. Karine Jean-Pierre.
Replace everybody at FEMA. They've all got to go. Oh, my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
And so that's one nominee. We're going to have to make a decision. Or we can have co-winners, can't we?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Because
I think we could have, these days, audio cut of the hour. I think we could do that.
Audio cut of the minute.
Yeah. I think
and the
we
other
could
one
do
is
that.
Biden speaking at the Juneteenth festival speech yesterday, an event yesterday. Here's what he had to say.
She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured. She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured. She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured.
Yeah. Yep.
And the thing is,
I couldn't have mumbled it any better.
they spell it out. Shulong Shu Jeru Nide.
Yeah.
Did you figure? Sometimes I can figure out what he's saying. I don't know what he's saying.
I have no clue. Play it again.
Okay. Now, understand, the only reason we're playing this is we are not making fun of somebody who has cognitive problems.
No.
Because his entire family and the cabinet last week, his cabinet said there's absolutely nothing wrong with him.
He's fine.
And we can't, the only challenge is, again, we can't keep up with him.
Yeah. No, he's fine.
He's fine.
Yeah. I heard that from Karine Jean-Pierre, a trustworthy source that I can trust.
And when you're in crisis management, you need to be able to trust that person.
I trust her on this issue.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Right. Oops.
Huh? All right.
She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured.
Something about something. I know it's denied.
I don't know.
Rights denied. Is freedom denied?
I don't know.
One more time. Here we go.
She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured.
They have to have the transcript, right? Yeah, there's probably a transcript somewhere.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess.
if they haven't edited it, they would have to edit it. Well, no, the transcript would be what he's supposed to say, not what he actually said.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, a transcript is supposed to be what he said. A script would be what he's supposed to say.
Okay, the transcript would be what he actually
Yeah,
said. Right.
but I doubt it
Right.
ended up that way, if there is a transcript.
Yeah, because one word was SHULONGASSUHIJERUHHNIED.
Yeah.
By the way, I think whoever did that guessed.
Probably.
I don't know what the word was.
Just a guess.
But it was the end of last week where his cabinet came out, his cabinet members, and said, no, the only problem with Joe Biden is we can't keep up with him.
Yeah.
He runs circles around us, and that's
Yeah.
That's the type of gaslighting that they're throwing out.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the laughter is not the fact that he has cognitive problems. The laughter comes from the fact that those that are around him are denying and gaslighting the entire American public as to a situation.
Yeah.
That's why when you play this to show they're all lying.
Yeah.
They're all
Right.
lying. Every member of his cabinet,
Yep.
his administration, his family, they're all lying about the situation that he's in. and it's terrible. I mean, it's elder abuse.
Yeah.
For them allowed to be out there. But I will say this. Now, yesterday, I was, at this time yesterday, I don't know what it was, but I don't know if it was a bug or whatever, but I have never been so tired in my life. I told you right about this time yesterday, I said, I don't know if I can make it through the show.
Yeah.
Because I was so incredibly, I still don't know what it was. In fact, I was thinking, is this carbon monoxide poisoning? That's what I was thinking. And but you guys weren't like me. I mean, and Alan over there was fine. I'm like, well, there's nothing in here that would throw out carbon monoxide from what we know, because the furnace isn't on.
Right.
And we didn't smell, so that wasn't burning. So, and there was no gas smell, and the air conditioning isn't going to produce that.
Right.
And so I don't know whether it's allergy or dehydration. You brought that up. But I mean, I left. I actually, you walked out of the room during a segment, and I fell asleep. It's never happened to me before. I fell asleep during a break for probably 5 or 6 seconds, and woke up. And I drove home okay. That was fine. But then I went immediately to sleep. As soon as I went from the front door. Yes, I denied the cat her time outside in the garage when I got home.
Wow.
I said, sorry, I don't know. And went straight to sleep, slept 3 hours, and had to bring my vehicle in. Had a couple of problems that the warranty took care of. Yes. Yes.
All right.
And then by the time I was back in bed by 3:30 and slept all the way till I came into work. So I really didn't know what the news was. And I got up. When I got up at 10 o'clock, I slept right through the alarm. And I feel much better today. I mean, much better.
Good.
But again, I really didn't pay attention as much as I do during the day. I had to play catch up. But the one thing I noticed, I said, was yesterday the day that the chorus of Democrats will now start piling on and saying Biden has to go. You had Nate Silver from 538. The pollsters say it's time for him to go. You had The Atlantic, a writer for The Atlantic, said the same thing. He's got to go.
Yep.
And in the Atlantic piece, that writer, not a fan of Trump at all, as you could tell by the way that he wrote it, but it said he just can't do it. Newsweek on the president, and this is where everybody was watching the Juneteenth celebration, and I don't know what was going on stage, but everybody was sort of like swaying to the music, and he was just there. He looked like a pillar of salt.
Yeah.
He did. I mean,
right.
I'm not saying that to make fun of the president or anything, because I think, we don't make fun of people that have cognitive problems. When we laugh and when we play it, we're laughing at the gaslighting coming from his family and the administration. I always want to make that clear.
Well,
because you and I both have had, we've had dementia in our family, and it's not funny when it happens and you see somebody slowly going. But he's the president of the United States, and you have to, if you care about this country, you have to make note of how bad his problem is.
When you see the decline firsthand, many of us caretakers who have family members who are suffering with dementia, it's a sobering experience. It will, because as we age, we are really more and more, we are our collective memories, and when those go, it robs us of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are decisions that have to be made of what the individual is capable of doing, what access they can have, at what point can they no longer drive, at what point can they no longer oversee their own personal business. Those kind of decisions are always heartbreaking, but have to be made by the families. And they're nothing in comparison to what a president has to do. And this has nothing to do with my disdain for his politics. there has to be somebody in that position who can make a clear call on their own, who's capable of doing that. And that is not the case right now, and we all know it.
And we all know we're being gaslighted by his family. Think about this, by his family. You know, again, that maybe that is the evidence that the fallback position is true.
Well, I'm wondering if that's where they're going here. If they're saying, well, you know, Hunter basically and his brother taking advantage of Joe's decline or whatever. I don't know what excuse ultimately they're going to, you know, where the story is actually going to end up, where it's going to fall. But we all see it. And for those of you on the left, on the far left, you see it too. And we're at risk between now and January 20th of next year. As a nation, we're at risk because he is in control. He legally has control. And he is clearly not capable of making decisions. And there's no way around that fact. And everyone on the far left, everyone who's paying attention knows what I'm saying is true.
And when they were all moving to whether it was the music or dance, I don't know, because it was just showing everybody in the front row, which included the president, Kamala Harris, and a bunch of other guests in the front row. They're all swaying and dancing to the music, and he's standing like a pillar of salt. And even Newsweek, video of Joe Biden appearing to freeze at Juneteenth event raises questions. Yesterday was the biggest day where I saw, and this is between waking up at 10 o'clock tonight, now it's 2:19 in the morning, so I've been up for 4 hours and 19 minutes because I woke up when my alarm went off, Central Time, that is. And that's what I got out of yesterday is it seemed like that was the day where it's like there was a realization from a number of people in the media saying, look, he can't do it. And I know they're going to get to the point here in the next couple of weeks where they take the vote for the nomination. Yeah. Remember, it's supposed to be a virtual vote.
Right. Yep.
And what I'm wondering, will there be a course? Is it going to, especially now, and I don't believe it's because of concern for Joe Biden. Because I think they'd be, if Biden was up 10 points, nobody would be saying a word.
Right.
It's simply because they realize now they believe they can't win with Joe Biden as president. And now, after the polls have shown that a conviction, think about this, a conviction of 34 felonies has no impact, except it seems like a slight impact in increasing Donald Trump's lead. What else can they do? You know, going after Alito isn't going to, or Roberts isn't going to change anything. Going after Byron Donalds isn't going to change anything.
No.
Lying about them isn't going to change anything. You can't get by Trump being convicted of 34 felonies because the public doesn't trust the system anymore.
Right.
And if they don't trust the system, the person who is the leader of that system, who is viewed as the leader because it's his ideology at the minimum that has created this situation, and the ideology of the party that he leads, they want him gone. There's nothing that they can do. And I think that realization has come to many Democrats. He's got to go because the brand now across the board has been tainted beyond repair.
Yeah, it is. It's and I don't think I think there's a level of distrust right now that we haven't seen in quite some time. You're seeing it more and more on the left. They believe he has to go. Joe Biden has to go. Well, he's going to be the nominee. So I don't know how this plays out in your mind, but as it stands today, he's the guy.
He's the guy. And then the next question is, because it's as we get closer now to the convention and the virtual nomination, people are like, what the hell? Democrats are like, what the hell do we do?
Exactly.
866-90 Red Eye.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. And so I saw talk yesterday, there are different articles out there. Who is Trump going to pick for vice president? I really don't think that's something the Americans care about, not even Republicans right now. I think after the conviction, everything changed.
Yeah.
And so I actually look at it, and I think the biggest story is, can Biden make it? Can Biden make it through? We'll see how he does at the debate. If they still decide to debate, if that's still going to go on.
Mm-hmm.
But it was that would the question that you see actually coming from the Democrats and those in the mainstream media. What do we do? But he's got to get out now, and it seemed to pick up more steam yesterday than I've seen. And every time he's going to be out now for the next couple of weeks and make statements that people just can't understand, that are completely unintelligible, and the freeze, because that looked creepy.
Yeah.
It really did. It looked. You saw that. You went, what the hell's wrong with him?
Yeah.
There's like no reaction. He's just standing there like a pillar of salt as everybody is swaying back and forth and clapping, and he's just. That was noticed. And so you say, well, what do they do? I don't know what they do.
I really don't know. I don't have a clue. But they believe they need to do something and do it quickly. I mean, you got to do it before that vote, that virtual vote happens. So what happens? Once he's the nominee, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Make an excuse? And then who? Kamala Harris?
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Now, Eric, the difference was to me yesterday when we talk about the number of people questioning Biden's cognitive abilities and saying he needs to withdraw. Again, Nate Silver from 538. You had the Newsweek article saying, oh, boy, video of Joe Biden appearing to freeze at Juneteenth event raises questions. And then who else was it? I forgot who else I just mentioned.
Well, James Carville's been on it for a while.
Yeah, Carville's been on it, and then there was somebody else. I just went through my mind there. But when I woke up yesterday, I said, wow, this is the biggest. To me, this was the biggest day where Democrats. Oh, the
Atlantic.
The Atlantic,
yeah.
The writer in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, the push is really happening. Now, when the Wall Street Journal wrote their article last week, the thing, actually, it was mocked. Because when the Wall Street Journal was saying behind closed doors, and the response was, what do you mean behind closed doors? It's there for everybody to see.
Right.
Everybody sees it with the door wide open. You can see that he has terrible cognitive problems, and that's when the family came to his defense. And then by the time we got to Friday, you had the cabinet members were coming out and saying, he's running circles around us. We can't keep up with him.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the gaslighting just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, that's how they respond to the Wall Street Journal, which is perceived as a conservative newspaper, the editorial section more than the actual news department, and the news department actually wrote that. Well, did you see Did you see you and I talked about briefly the National Review article about the Wall Street Journal laying off and what direction are they going in? And
Yeah.
I subscribe to it for the editorial page, but if they move in a direction, I didn't like the fact that they laid off so many economists. The economy writers, you can go to the Wall Street Journal, and it's pretty solid in looking at economic things. And, I'll see if that's gone or not. But right now I get it for that. And I've always gotten it for that, how they analyze economics and their editorial page, which is definitely more conservative.
Yeah.
And so we'll see where that goes. But when the Wall Street Journal called for it, I mean, everybody came to his defense. You don't hear any defense when Democrats attack him. But Carville's been going after him. And the thing is, what would the process be now? How would they do it? How do you bypass Kamala Harris? Let's put it this way. They were just at a Juneteenth festival.
Mm-hmm.
Juneteenth is next week.
Mm-hmm.
They need to do it in the next month. How do you say, Kamala Harris, we're bypassing you and going to whomever?
Someone who can win? But who is that? I mean, she polls better than Newsom. So,
well, Newsom's in a mess right now. I mean, it's just like it doesn't seem to be any. I'll find the article that was written saying, remember it was a year ago right now that Newsom suggested the 28th Amendment to change the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Because not one state has picked up on that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably, I would say Democrats, probably it's the wrong move to right now come out and say, let's revisit, that Gavin Newsom was saying, let's replace the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Probably not a smart thing to do right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A little bit of political advice there.
Not too bright.
It may not be, but and I was thinking, should they go back to Cuomo?
Stranger things have happened.
He's in
I think maybe they take a closer look at Hunter Biden. I don't know who in the party.
2 convicted felons.
Yeah, right.
But one they had to make the crime up for.
Exactly. I don't know who they would go to. I honestly don't know who they would go to. Because the problem with all of these liberals saying that this should happen, that he can't be the guy, What's going on is this is freak out mode, and it's not the first time. We've seen it. We saw it a couple of months ago. Nate Silver posted something back, I think, in February, saying, look, there are much better candidates that could take on Trump. But where are they? Yeah. The one thing they don't do is say, this needs to be the person. None of them are saying Kamala Harris needs to be the person.
Until you try to bypass her.
Well, that's the problem, is that, okay, they're not promoting anybody, which tells you they're in freak-out mode. They're not in full campaign mode saying, hey, we all need to get together and we need to send a loud message that this person needs to be the nominee. Well, the primaries have already happened. We're, all but done with the primaries, and the nomination is about to happen. So what are you going to do? Who are you suggesting that they put up there? And how does that work? I mean, I would love to see all that fall out at their convention. Oh, that would be great. But what you're actually seeing is you're seeing freak out mode by prominent liberals who understand, oh my gosh, it's going to be Biden.
All right. So now I'm taking liberties here, but we mentioned Nate Silver.
Mm-hmm.
The Atlantic writer, James Carville, Newsweek bringing it up.
Yeah.
The poll that came out yesterday that showed 54% of Democrats do not want Biden to run.
Right.
And what was it that I forgot what percentage it was. It was a pretty large percentage, is only voting for Biden because they won't pick Trump. They actually don't like Biden.
Right.
I think it was a third.
Right.
Was it a third? I think it was.
Yeah. Was it 37%? Something like that.
And then I see Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania saying that Trump should quit. They should quit whining and stop talking sh blankety blank about America. And it went into my head, is that who they're thinking of? And there it is all over the place. Pennsylvania Governor Shapiro says Trump should quit whining. He said a second Trump term would set the nation back 40 years. And I'm thinking, with all of it yesterday, about 10:15, as I'm getting ready to go to work, I'm like, And he goes, Governor Shapiro admonished former President Donald Trump to quit whining during a TV appearance Monday night and said it was crucial not to give the former president the opportunity to appoint more justices to the Supreme Court. All they hear from Donald Trump is a whole bunch of whining about this country, and I think Donald Trump's got to quit whining, got to quit trying to divide us. And I went, is he the guy? More people went to work this morning in America than any other time in our nation's history. By the way, you could say that at any other time in this history as the population of the United States grows.
Right.
There's always more jobs now than there was back then, unless you're in the middle of a depression or a recession. And then it might be, well, there aren't as many people working as there was a year ago, but then a year later, there will be.
Yeah, right.
So more people went to work this morning in America than any other time in our nation's history. So I got a message to Donald Trump and all of his negativity and whining. Stop blank talking America. This is the greatest country on earth, and it's time that we all started acting like it. That's somebody who's thinking of running for a political office outside of being the governor.
Well, I don't know.
At
somebody
some point.
with his own party, somebody within his own party has disagreed. The aforementioned former governor of New York. America's never been great. Remember that whole thing?
Yes.
So, I don't know. They can discuss it within their own party.
That being said, that is somebody who wishes to have higher office someday. When that someday is, I wonder.
Yeah.
Because as we know, when Trump's talking about negatively about what's going on in this country, he's talking specifically Democrats and what their policies are.
Right.
But
yeah,
that's why I saw that yesterday and I said, who they want to run against Trump? Because it's not going to be Harris. And it's not going to be Newsom, and it's not going to be Cuomo. So who's left? And so when we ask that question,
Shapiro's younger.
Shapiro's
50.
younger. Yep.
And I'm looking at the list of governors who are Democrats, and
it gets in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Right.
I'm just throwing it out.
Yep. No, I mean, quite possibly. You know, they have to look. If we're hearing about it this much in a couple of days in the media, then behind closed doors, they're going crazy.
Well, look, we've been paying attention to the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party does not have people who say if they wish to get widespread Democrat support on any other day, they don't hear, stop trying to divide America. Yeah. America is the greatest country in the world. That's not Democrats speak unless they're running for political office or wish to run for higher political office. We all know it. That's not how they speak.
Right.
Remember, Obama spoke that way before he became president, and then he never spoke that way again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
About how great America is. We need to stop dividing. We need to stop worrying about black versus white. Remember that?
Yeah.
Everybody forgets it. That's when people said, that's when that firefighter came up to me one time and said to me, he goes, I got to give that Obama a second chance. He really sounds conservative. So when did you start listening? It goes about a week ago. I go, right after the convention.
Yeah.
When he was moving to the, he's got the nomination. He's moving to the middle. And then you never heard that from Obama again, did you, about how great America is?
No.
That didn't happen again.
No.
Shapiro's doing the same thing out of the Democrat playbook. They don't talk like that. It's Republicans that talk about how great America is and how great the Constitution is. When Democrats do it, there's something up their sleeve. That's just the reality of where the parties are.
Right.
Look, the party endorses anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
They don't talk about how great our America is great because we hate Jews.
Yeah. That's basically where they are. I mean, it has become fully radicalized. And I think the radicals probably know that too. Nate Silver, you can carve Nate Silver out because he's kind of doing numbers here. And yeah, he's on the left, but he's doing what a pollster does. But I think the far left, I think the radicals are looking at it saying, if we don't win this, if we can't beat Trump now, we may not be able to beat the Republicans down the road in a few years in 28. And we need to get a handle on it. We need somebody that is able to be a radical and also coherent. And Joe Biden doesn't fit the second part. And that's where we are. That's where they are as a party. I guess we'll see what happens.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley. Jeez.
Hello.
And I'm Gary McNamara. So, again, I know I'm taking liberties by looking at something, analyzing a day, in one day in an entire year, and what seemed like was happening yesterday. There seemed to be a groundswell coming that Biden has to go. Mm-hmm. Then when I saw Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, the governor, on MSNBC saying that Trump has to stop talking, blank about America and America's great and everything else. I'm like, oh, okay. He at least is considering the possibility of higher office in the future. So whether it would be him they would replace Biden with, I don't know. But just thoughts going through your head as Democrats don't want Biden to run.
Yep.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here. How's everybody doing? Another interesting day that we have. I want to play this audio cut because we had talked about yesterday, Bill Maloogian from Fox News had presented that memo that was out from the San Diego sector of ICE on Border Patrol for the Border Patrol, and you saw that basically they're allowing everybody in. That it means what the president said last week about his executive order was a lie, and we know it. And you know the interesting thing is about it, though? Because if it wasn't a lie, they would be out there promoting it every day. They felt it was important that the president get out there and get tough on, the border crisis, right?
Look, they felt like they needed to make a move on it.
Right. So you got to make a move. So they went out, made a move. The next day, in fact, not only that, but when everybody read it, they said, well, there's nothing here. The next day, it's like, no, there's no change. A week later, 6 days later, 5 days later, there is no change at the border. Mm-hmm. And now when we see what the memos are coming down, it's let everybody in. And it's just, and they have, and since his speech on it, he's not out every day promoting the fact that we're getting tougher on the border. No, he can't do it. And so one wonders, why are they doing it?
It seemed like a desperate move at the time for us.
This is Senator Eric Schmidt from Missouri, from the Senate Armed Services Committee, talking about the memo yesterday and just talking about Biden and the situation at the border.
Right, it's in plain view now. This memo only confirms what everybody feared, that this was just window dressing. They know exactly what they're doing. And as you mentioned, only 6 countries are noted in the Eastern Hemisphere. That means if you're from China, if you're a spy from China, you can get here for $5,000 to $10,000, and you'll be in the interior of the United States through catch and release. If you're a terrorist from Iran, same deal. This has never happened in the history of our country or anywhere in the world, Laura, where
never
an administration, this has never happened. No one's ever done this willingly, allowed and actually been complicit with an invasion of our country. They don't believe in real borders. And sadly now, Americans literally are dying. And I fear it could be worse. I mean, there are terrorists here who are operating in the United States. And again, the Biden administration is willing to trade all of that for some sort of electoral advantage, they think.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's nothing changes. Just like with Israel, say you're doing something, but you do the opposite. Your actions actually show that you're doing the opposite every single day. It wasn't just a few weeks ago where Karine Jean-Pierre was saying, well, no, the Republicans need to, jump in and do something about the border with the president. He shouldn't have to do it alone and all that garbage. And then they built it up thinking it was going to be a solid move. That the guy who's running against the guy who's been screaming build a wall for 8 years or longer is the one who's strong on the border. They thought somebody, in fact, a group of somebodies in that entire group thought he was going to benefit from that politically, that he was going to win somehow by issuing that bogus executive order that does zero.
Yeah, because we had said, well, they're going to, if they do the executive order, they're going to follow up on it. Is it going to be obvious? Because that's what you do. You make it obvious the next day because the media, the people like Bill Maloogian are out there covering it and others, because it was the NBC reporter who also said, this isn't going to do anything.
Right.
And then it came out with the memo that we brought up on last night's show saying we allow everybody in except from 6 Eastern countries. That means Iran can come in, China can come in, all these different countries can come in, and that are adversaries of the United States and set up shop, and there's nothing we can do about it. And the whole thing of the president saying we're going to clamp down on the border is a load of horse manure. And they don't even go out after the day after he did it. Immediately, the response was people that read what the order is said, not going to do anything. The next day, this isn't going to do anything. The next day, not going to do anything. And there's nobody from the administration out there saying, look, we're doing this reform and it's going to help. They gave it a one-shot thing, and then they forgot about it. And all there's been is criticism against it, that this is ridiculous. And here goes the president lying again. He loses more credibility on the border by coming out with that one shot of, okay, here's the executive order.
Yeah.
And so you say to yourself, the only thing they can be trying to do is BS their base or BS what they believe is some in the base who do want tougher borders. Because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. you look at the totality of what has happened since he did his speech, and everything has been negative. Things are just as bad on the border. So why did he do it? What's going on inside that administration? I mean, it's almost as if, okay, we know this isn't what we're for, but we have to pretend it. But I'm not going to go out and pretend every day because the criticism, I can't argue the criticism.
Normally, you would take this on the road.
Yes, you would take it on the road.
And there's going to be none of that.
You know, remember when we said this about Trump? We said this when Trump was really hitting the border. And we said Trump shouldn't be talking to the New York Times about it. He shouldn't be talking to CNN about it. What he should do is, in order to promote this, he should do it grassroots. That he should go out with the wall and he should go, look, maybe some of you don't want the wall, but you want border security. But he should have gone to the border cities and done town hall meetings with the people and the locals and local law enforcement and say, look, I believe there's a problem. You tell us what the problem is. I'm going to sit here and moderate. Where he doesn't, he basically moderates it and asks questions, and it'd be very powerful because you're getting it from local law enforcement and the people who live in those regions who say that it's uncontrollable. But that was way back then. When you think about it, illegal immigration is nothing compared to what it is today.
Oh yeah,
nothing. Not even close.
Right now, it's just chaotic.
But that's what you normally. Now he went out and still promoted it on a consistent basis. But we said he should have done it in a different way. Here, though, one blurb, and then it's like we forget about it and move on to whatever we're moving on to. And the criticism has come in universally against what the president ordered. And no longer, though, is the left coming out and saying, well, this is ridiculous. They're like, oh, there's nothing here.
Right.
There's nothing here. Okay, we really haven't changed policy at all.
Right.
And so they're not up in arms anymore. The right is, but the fact is everybody knows that what the president did last week was just another big, huge lie. Right, Democrats? You know that. I know. Yeah. We know Democrats listen to the show. You know, you can't argue it. You can't argue with what you're saying, with what we're saying. You know it was a lie. You know how? You read the memos that have come out from our immigration authorities on it. Nothing's changed. The reporters are on the ground watching all of this. Even the mainstream media. Nobody. Have you seen one report coming out saying this is really going to stop it? The president's really serious about this?
No.
Not one.
No.
Can't find it.
Nope. No, it's something that, again, you can't take it out on the road. You can't debate it. You can't bring it up. And what you were hoping would be, I don't know, something that would be a bright point to this, at least at this point in the election season. And it's nothing. I mean, it didn't even spark, not even for a second. Because you pick it apart, and we had said since the word had come out that it was coming down, well, we have to get into the wording of what it's actually going to do. And Bill Mnuchin just shredded it right down to the ground for what it is, a heaping, steaming pile of nothing. It will do nothing. It will change nothing at the southern border. And then you have Mayorkas on the Sunday morning news show bragging about, hey, come on.
No, that's the other thing
we've
too.
We've got so many ways for you to come here now.
Right.
We're making it so easy to come across our open border.
And it was so incredibly blunt.
Yes, he was proud of that. And he thought, he's in the friendly liberal media territory, he should be bragging about it. They see this as almost like a civil rights movement. This is our agenda. We're going to get it done.
Well, it was to the point where Martha Raddatz said, well, we know you're doing that. We know you're allowing people across the border. What are you doing to stop people from crossing the border? She was even asking it, going, well, we know You've done that, and Mayorkas is just so proud, saying you don't have to go to the border. There's many other ways to expedite you into this country,
Right.
and he was blunt with it and emphasized it twice.
Yes.
And she was like, "Well, we know that. We know what you're doing. We know you've been doing that since the beginning, allowing people to cross the border in different ways. We're asking, are you stopping
Yeah. What are you
people
doing to
from
stop
coming
it?
in the border?"
Right.
It was just, I mean, and everybody knows it. But it really is amazing when you look at the politics of it that they were so insistent of, again, there's nothing I can do, nothing I can do, nothing I can do, nothing I can do. Well, I can do something. And then the narrative becomes 2 days later, well, he said he could do something, but he really didn't do anything.
Right.
I mean, it's just everything is a blank, to quote Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania, everything is a blank show.
Yeah. No, it really is. And it shows you, I think Mayorkas really was the icing on that whole thing.
By the way,
for that whole week.
going back to Shapiro very quickly, it could also blow back against him, the fact that he's saying everything is great and we love America and everything. It's like, stop with the BS. You're just a Democrat. We got major problems here that Trump's trying to solve.
Right.
Because it could also backfire there, because the American public
Well,
is not in
especially
the
in
mood.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the American public is not in the mood for everything is roses.
Right. Yeah.
Everything is chocolate, as long as it doesn't have mushrooms in it. You see that story?
No. They're
About-
putting mushrooms in chocolate?
Yeah,
Like the
the psilocybin. Yeah.
really?
Yeah, and government put out a warning. And I read part of the story and went, "What? But isn't that illegal to begin with?"
Melts in your mind, not in your hands.
I don't know. I mean,
That kind of thing?
This isn't like a Delta 8 or Delta 9 thing where there was an agriculture bill that allowed psilocybin to be.
Yeah, did has everybody just totally misinterpreted everything? It's like, no, we understand everything's legal now. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
No, thanks.
the people may say, "Well, look, everybody can't be high." Well, everybody certainly can't be tripping, can they? They're like the microdosing. They go, the microdosing of chocolates is not good. I go, microdose. And I was reading this thinking it was chocolates. The headline said chocolates. It didn't say mushroom chocolates.
Yeah. Yeah, that's getting dangerous.
You think that's what's going on with the Democrats? Are they all?
No,
are they all,
I'm wondering.
Forget about being high. Are they all tripping?
Well, no, that's it. I'm wondering, is anybody sober?
Well, Kamala Harris does laugh a lot.
She does.
I heard laughter in the other room when I said that.
Yeah. Oh, they laugh a lot too. See?
Apparently, you know the effects of acid.
Yeah. They know all
laughing
too well.
laughing incoherently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't he just on caffeine though?
Yeah.
What was Beavis on?
I don't know.
It's like I thought it was caffeine.
Cappuccino. I don't.
Is everybody tripping? Is that
Yeah.
what
It makes you feel like it sometimes.
I know.
Because can they not even walk through their own playbook anymore? Well, the problem is when the playbook has become so radical, there is no playbook. You know, we talk scorched earth. Well, the pages of their playbook are burned each day because the new rules are written each day, and the rules of yesterday don't apply anymore.
Well, when everybody is tripping and
Yeah.
you're not,
Mm-hmm.
you then sometimes get the feeling that maybe you're the only one tripping and they're not.
I see what you did there.
Because
Yeah.
you're like, how can this? Because every day you're walking. Seriously, every day we walk through life going, how do they justify this?
Well,
how,
there's
how-
no self-awareness whatsoever.
And how is the public accepting it as they have for such a long time? And that's where you come to the point going, everybody's tripping and go, well, maybe I am, and they're all sober because I don't understand it, and they all seem to understand it. Maybe I'm the one that's high, and they're all sober. And you go, no, I'm sober.
Well, they've all got that weird, Biden smile, that weird, creepy smile when he stopped that day. And they're all just kind of shaking their head. Every one of you, you're all high. You're tripping hard.
And they're all still listening to the Dead.
Yeah.
You know, they always talk about the Dead. Oh, yeah, we're still big Dead fans.
Right. Sitting around eating a bunch of Ben and Jerry's, man. I guess.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No thanks. No thanks.
Yeah, it's just every day you wake up. Now I will say this, it makes it so you want to come on the air
Yeah.
and do this job because you just can't believe what you're pointing out every single day. Corinne Jean-Pierre. Yes. I still, that audio cut where Federal Emergency Management Agency, she's speaking about crisis management.
Yeah.
And the fact that people need to have trust in their government spokespersons.
Yeah, she's the one to speak on that.
I know.
Wow.
So that's why we say, are they all high? Because there seemed to be no self-awareness. Do they really think that differently than us that we say, well, you can't think that much differently. You got to be high. Because that's, I think, where I get to.
Yeah. I just don't think it's like two different types of brains.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on speed and space management. Due to safety concerns, many motor carriers have policies that limit or prohibit the use of cruise control. If your motor carrier does allow you to use cruise control, you should only use it in good driving conditions during daylight hours and on roads that have light traffic, few curves or hills, and a consistent speed limit. Never use cruise control when operating in adverse driving conditions, including wet, icy, or slippery roads, during rush hour in heavy traffic or on congested highways, at night, or when you're tired or fatigued. During all of these driving scenarios, you want to be controlling and adjusting your speed as you drive instead of having to suddenly brake if you encounter an obstacle. In the case of a slippery road surface, you want to be able to slow your vehicle by not accelerating instead of using the brakes whenever possible. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, so that's where you look at it, and again, and where we're talking about is everybody high or tripping now, because of just the coverage on Biden putting forth his his border executive order, and it doesn't do anything. In fact, it does the opposite, and we'll have more of some of the local news reports out there where. In fact, I have a report coming from a TV station in Austin where they got somebody at the border saying the memo that came out in San Diego does the opposite of what the president said he was going to do.
Yeah.
Does the opposite of what he said he was going to do. So we knew it was a lie. We knew immediately afterwards. Those that looked at it, that had been looking at the border, said, no, this isn't going to make any difference. A day later, 2 days later, 3 days later, 4 days later, now well into this week, we know it's not going to do anything, that he just lied to the American public. For what reason? Maybe he figures people are just stupid and will buy what he says, but I don't think that's the case here.
On our website, RedEyeRadioshow.com. Show info with stations, podcasts, and more. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. I want to play this audio. This is from I can't get his name here. I can't read it. He's from Fox News, so doing a report for Good Day Austin. Here we go. On the border. hearing.
We're just outside of the San Diego Metropolitan, and all weekend long, our crews have seen a consistent flow of illegal immigration here into this area. And just a few days ago, President Biden addressed the nation, promising that he would end the flow of illegal migration into the country, and those who try will be punished. However, a new memo obtained by Fox News indicates that the order being given to Border Patrol agents here on the ground is contradictory to what President Biden promised the nation. The memo instructs agents to continue mass releasing single adult migrants into the United States from all but 6 countries in the Eastern Hemisphere. Those countries are Russia, Georgia, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Moldova, and Kyrgyzstan, meaning all the migrants we are seeing in real time coming from China, Egypt, countries in Africa, they are being released. The internal memo reads in part, Border Patrol agents are ordered to refer to ICE single adults from hard or very hard to remove countries. Those are the 6. All other migrants are processed and released with a notice to appear on their own recognizance. And we've been talking to migrants from all over the world arriving here into the San Diego sector. I talked to one man from Turkey. Here's what he had to say. What do you think of President Biden?
Biden, I love Biden.
Why do you love Biden?
Because Biden we love.
Why do you love him?
Biden help us.
And he's like, his hand is showing like, look, everybody is here. That we're here in the United States. That was Matt Finn from Fox News on a local report in Austin, where there's lots of liberals. So everybody knows. Everybody knows that the president is a pathological liar, and everybody knows that the president lied last week to the American people when he said he was cracking down on the border. We all know it. Every Democrat, if you're a Democrat, you're listening right now, you know he lied to you, but you're okay with it.
Yeah, you're all right.
You're all right with it.
Right.
Because Democrats don't scream about this. They're not screaming about the border.
Right.
In fact, if you see it, I don't think it's over 50% yet that are upset about the border. I'll check that, but I don't think it's 50% of Democrats are upset at what's going on at the border.
Right. Yeah, it's not. Look, it's not changing. If anything, this summer it's only going to get worse. We've been talking about this for a long time. When the political winds are changing here in the States, those who want to come here understand how it works, and they know the timeline. They know that if they want to get here, they have to get here at the latest January of next year. And so they're not going to wait until the winter. They'll come during the warm months. This summer, the activity at the southern border is going to skyrocket.
Here it is, raising penalties on businesses hiring undocumented workers, supported by 85% of Republicans, 67% of independents, 66% of all respondents, 48% of Democrats. So a majority still aren't there. And increasing deportations of illegal immigrants here in the United States, 89% of Republicans, 66% of independents, 65% of all respondents, 46% of all Democrats. So Democrats still support illegal immigration. That's the voter.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're not upset about what's going on right now. They expect, I view this a lot like when Obama was lying about gay marriage, when he said he was grappling with it.
Right,
we said,
right.
no, he's not. He's for gay marriage. He just can't be public about it. And then when he came out in favor of gay marriage, I'll never forget the gay activist said, well, we knew he was lying all along. Everybody knew he was lying.
We were okay with the lie.
Then everybody knows that Biden lied last week, including Democrats. They knew he wasn't going to really toughen up the border. The proposal with the largest Republican-Democrat split was expansion of a border wall. An overwhelming 87% of Republicans approved that idea. 28% of Democrats do. Overall, respondents were split on the wall. 52% of independents, 54% of respondents overall approved further wall construction. That was beginning of May by the way. Democrat support was highest for creating a pathway to citizenship for illegal immigrants currently in the country. 85% of Democrats, 60% of respondents, 59% of independents, 33% of Republicans. So by far, it is the Democrat voter that wants what's going on at the border to continue.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, understand it's not just Biden. It's the Democrat voter that wants it. The Democrat vote, because we've talked about, how radical the Democratic Party is on the federal level, which would be the members of Congress. But they are dragging along a significant portion of liberal Democrats also support it. In fact, on the most radical things, still a majority support. You've got a bigger minority now of Democrats against what Democrats are doing than you have before on the major issues. But the majority of Democrats, the voters, actually still support radical policies and illegal immigration into the United States.
Yep.
They support what the president's doing. And it's important to understand that.
And again, if there was outrage coming from the left in large numbers, you'd see a change.
Yeah, you'd know it. They don't hide their anti-Semitism at all.
No,
they're proud of their anti-Semitism.
No, they're okay with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And until there's a massive shift in voting, which I don't think is going to happen.
I saw a poll yesterday that said the majority of Jews still support Biden. He's an absolute anti-Semite.
Yeah, right. He's
a Jew hater.
He's essentially calling for the destruction of Israel.
Yeah. He's siding with Hamas.
He's helping to fund Hamas. He's the one person in the world right now with the power to stop Iran from funding their proxies. And he's their guy.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Majority of Jews from thehill.com call anti-Semitism a serious problem. Still, the majority supports Biden.
Yeah.
In a hypothetical matchup today, 61% said they would support Biden, 23% support Trump, 10% say they would support someone else. That's mind-boggling.
It's massive.
Same poll shows that they are increasingly concerned with rising anti-Semitism. Nearly all Jews, 93%, say anti-Semitism in the U.S. is either a serious problem, 56%, or somewhat of a problem, 37%. 7% say it's not a problem. Most Jews, 87%, also say in the poll that since the Hamas terrorist attacks on Israel on October 7th, they think anti-Semitism in the U.S. has increased a lot, 55%, or has increased somewhat, 33%. That means 87% believe it has increased. And yet, support for Biden, who is an absolute anti-Semite, a pro-terrorist Jew hater, they still support. Go figure.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Don't get it. And again, the one person in the world with the power to cut Iran off and keep them from funding their proxies, including Hamas. And nope, he gets the vote. Wow. If you can win doing that, if you can win that way, if you can get that kind of support after October 7th, I don't know what to tell you about how doomed we are.
You had Newsweek combine the two polls. There were two polls on Jewish voters, and they say overall the two polls show Biden's support among Jewish voters declining by 14% over the past 4 years. So it has declined a little bit.
How much has declined since October 7th?
That I don't know.
Because until you put an end to this, Hamas is not done.
Here it is. While Biden still holds a lead over Trump among Jewish voters, a 2020 poll found 75% of Jewish voters said they plan to vote for Biden in the 2020 presidential election. It's 61% today, so they say 14% down. Which the big thing in between there would be October 7th, but still 61%.
Right.
You just shake your head going, don't know what to say.
I can't tell you.
You and I go back to Obama when the Jewish leaders were so upset about his stance on Israel. Well, what in the world's going on? We didn't know. And we said, we don't know what to tell you.
Right.
We don't know what to tell you. If you don't know where Obama stands, if you don't know where the radical left stands on Israel and the Jews, I don't know how we can help you.
Right.
You've got to be willing to help yourself.
Well, and that's really what it comes down
to. If you're Jewish and the anti-Semitism of this administration doesn't bother you and you'll still vote for them after the genocide that happened to Jews in Israel, I don't know what to tell American Jews. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, because it makes me wonder, again, what the response would be by individuals who support this president now and support the radicals being Hamas. What do you think is going to happen when, it's not if, when they attack us on our soil? Yeah. Are they going to have pro-terrorist supporters out in the streets? I remember 9/11. I remember Times Square. Remember the people looking up? And they wanted revenge.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
They wanted revenge.
Yep.
Now, I can't tell you what would happen in the wake of a massive terrorist attack on the U.S., on U.S. soil. I don't know. And that scares the hell out of me.
Yeah. You shake your head, you read that, you just go, oh, what do you do?
How often have you and I, over the almost 19 years on the air together, have looked at people that seem to have no sense of self-preservation?
Queers for Palestine. What else can I say? They proudly promote, we're gay and we support Hamas. They'd murder you in a second.
Yes. You are not welcome.
Well, I don't know. One thing I have learned in my life, because I'm an American, I pretty well understand the people that want me dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I know.
And want Americans dead.
I see who the threats are.
Yeah, I've sort of figured that one out.
Right.
When you're concerned with self-preservation, that's one of the things that you're concerned with.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you have 14% that have moved that understand exactly what we're talking about. The majority of Jewish voters would still support an anti-Semite.
Mind-boggling.
Yep.
Mind-boggling.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, so really interesting when you see that polling, which I don't understand from Jewish voters, how the majority could still support Biden. We don't have time, but somebody wants to say, doesn't Dershowitz still support Biden? I'm like, I don't know if he still supports Biden. Will vote for Biden. I know he doesn't support Trump.
Right.
But that would be a great question to Dershowitz.
Sure.
Why with everything that you've written about how he doesn't care about the Constitution, why would you still support him?
Right. Yeah. We have a ton of questions for people like that who say, well, I'm not going to support Trump. We get we've seen it before. I don't necessarily know that I get it, but the disdain for one person, I'd never vote for that person. We've seen that before. But my question is, well, who do you vote for? Who do you stand for if you're one of these critical thinkers on the left and you're not going to vote for Trump? Then who's your choice? That would be my question. I got a million questions for them. How do they vote, and why do they vote that way? Mm-hmm. Great question.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.